Hello and welcome back to the Two Furs Boxing Show episode 5. I am Chandler Waller, also known as Two Furs. Welcome back. It's been a UK based, it's been a bit quiet in terms of boxing, but obviously, you know, the US fans were spoilt by that unification fight between Lewis Nuri and Brandon Figueroa. Great fight. We will touch on it in a little bit. I think we're just going to touch on Joshua Buatsi's first. We're going to have a look back at the action over the weekend, beginning with Joshua Buatsi's, can't even remember his opponent's name, will be totally honest with you, but 4th round stoppage of Daniel Blender dos Santos. Eyesight is absolutely killing me today, but yeah, 4th round knockout victory. It's his first fight under Virgil Hunter. It could get me confused then. I was trying desperately not to say the wrong name because I said it was Virgil Hill the other week. But yeah, interesting to kind of just see Buatsi back. Like, he's just one of the better prospects, I would say, in world boxing at the moment. You know, we really just want to see him step it up now. And I think, you know, Saturday night was, you know, just proving that point even further. Yeah, there's not too much to say about the fight. Just caught him with a brilliant shot. Right hand just kind of like put him down. It was quite a scary knockout at first. You could see the sort of, I kind of want to say respect by Buatsi, you know, taking a knee or going down on his knees, just hoping that his opponent was all right. And, you know, it's kind of great to see that because at the end of the day, it's a very harsh, brutal sport. But Buatsi, you know, looked impressive. I think it was a fight where he was meant to look impressive. And, you know, we move on. But I think a lot of people are just calling for him to face somebody decent, basically. That's just the trying to put it nicely, you know. And, you know, I think somebody pointed it out that, like, he's been a professional for almost 4 years now and he hasn't had that breakout fight almost. Like, even on the sort of domestic scene, I believe he's a lot further than domestic scene. But, you know, I think a fight with Craig Richards, I think that makes a lot of sense, you know. Gave Bivol a, you know, half decent fight. I think Bivol was a kind of clear winner. But, you know, Richards has proved that he's not too far away from that. And I think Buatsi, Richards, it's just a fantastic fight to make. A brilliant domestic fight. If we can see it at Fight Camp, then brilliant. Those two should have clashed for the British title, 2 years ago now. So yeah, I think it's overdue. I think we need to see it. And I think the winner, you know, gets to go on to world level. For Richards, that would be another shot at a world title. So yeah, that's really what I hope is next. You know, Callum Johnson, I wouldn't say no to. I just know that the likeliness of us seeing that is quite low. I think you're much more likely to see Callum Johnson take on perhaps Lyndon Arthur, who's like WBO #1 now. I think it was the WBO. He's #1 with one of the boxing organisations. So yeah, I think you're much more likely to see that fight than one of them fight Buatsi. I think the interest in Buatsi Yard is kind of differing a little bit. You know, I'd still want to see it, no doubt, but it was obviously a much bigger fight when they were both undefeated. Sometimes you kind of look at fights with like a promoter's hat, I suppose, or promoter goggles, I should say. So yeah, Blake Caparello was an opponent that he was meant to face, and that would have been a kind of like good fight to see where he was at. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Craig Richards fight just makes the most sense. I think it's easy to make. And yeah, I want to see it. I want to see Craig Richards get that opportunity against Buatsi. And yeah, I think Richards as well is that kind of, he's above domestic level. He's obviously not quite there against the sort of Bivols at world level. You've got Bivol, Bertabiev, and Joe Smith Jr. Not quite there. So I think it's the perfect fight for Buatsi. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Buatsi. We're going to move on to, obviously, Brandon Figueroa. What round was it? I have completely forgotten. I want to say it was a little bit later. My prediction was very off for this fight. I just thought Neri was going to break down. Brandon Figueroa hadn't looked too impressive in his previous bouts. I'm looking at the wrong fucking fight here. So yeah, 7th round. I thought it was like 7th or 8th round. Brandon Figueroa scores a 7th round knockout of Luis Neri. Brutal body shot. It was, you know, an entertaining fight up until the sort of like closing point, and obviously still entertaining. And just close the show in dramatic fashion. You know, Neri really did show his toughness in this fight, I feel, because he went down and counted out from body shot round 7. I thought there was... No, sorry. Didn't get knocked down throughout the fight. We won't cut it because I just cannot be bothered to do any more editing. It's probably the reason why, I don't know, this isn't... I don't know how to word it. Never mind, we're going to carry on talking about boxing. Brandon Figueroa surprised me, I won't lie. Like I said, he'd looked fairly average in his last outings, and he really stepped up to the plate this time. Whipped in the shots behind the guard of Neri. Neri kept coming forward but was just getting tagged. And, you know, they kind of just went a bit toe-to-toe. And, you know, going toe-to-toe with a Mexican like Neri, you never really know what's going to happen. You look at the fight with Yamanaka. And there's been that cloud over Luis Neri because of inability to make weight, amongst other things. I think Figueroa just did a fantastic job, and he set himself up very nicely for that 3-belt unification fight with Stephen Fulton, and that's a brilliant fight to make, knowing that it's going to happen straight away as well. Should be fantastic, you know. That happens the 11th of September. Really should have worn my glasses for this because I'm struggling to see. Yeah, honestly, cannot wait for that fight. Stephen Fulton, you know, looked to be one of the best sort of in the world. And I think, you know, the person who owns 3 belts by the end of 11th of September, I think, you know, deserves to call themselves the top dog of the division. And for me, it was always Akhmadaliev. I don't know what happened with the belt that Akhmadaliev used to hold, because Brandon Figueroa was the regular world champion, and then Akhmadaliev vacated? I don't know. I haven't seen anything. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, I don't tend to like keep my foot in boxing too much anymore. It's more just like a casual watch for me nowadays. But yeah, very impressive with Figueroa. I cannot wait to see the fight with Stephen Fulton. I just really hope that the winner of that then goes on and we can get an undisputed champion by the winner facing Akhmadaliev. Love to see that fight. Love watching Akhmadaliev fight. Love watching Brandon Figueroa fight, don't get me wrong. And yeah, I think Brandon Figueroa versus Stephen Fulton be an interesting fight. I have to look a little bit more into that to pick a winner. But yeah, just you know, love the prospect of a 3-belt unification. One face, one name, one champion. That's what we all want. We were going to touch on this a little bit, but I don't really know. I didn't watch this fight. It was Manuel Charr who obviously defeated Christopher Lovejoy. Honestly, I didn't expect the fight to happen. I think a lot of people didn't expect the fight to happen. But it did, and Manuel Charr was victorious. I think he scored a knockout in the 2nd or 3rd round. Haven't watched the fight. I think I put a tweet out the last time that Manuel Charr was meant to fight, and I felt a little bit bad for him because, you know, kind of, he's trying to get that was trying to get that Anthony Joshua payday, I believe, by winning the regular world title. And then he just had to kind of like bide his time, and then he could, you know, get himself in that mandatory position with the WBA super champion Anthony Joshua, and then, you know, make a load of money and just go home. Great story. Love Manuel Charr. I love that. I think it was last year or maybe the year before that. I can't remember. That's what I mean. He's been out of the ring for a very long time, but the fact that he was calling out all the top heavyweights in the world, I love that attitude. By someone who's, you know, relatively unknown, trying to get his name out there. I absolutely love that. So, don't know what's next for Manuel Charr. I'd imagine that they'll probably try and pass off that fight to Dillian Whyte as a sort of interim title fight. Yeah, but perhaps. I think that's probably what they will do. I don't know who Emmanuel Charr will face, but if he's with Don King, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who could fight. Although he was meant to fight Trevor Bryan, so I don't know if that's still going to happen or not. The title wasn't on the line for this fight with Lovejoy, as far as I believe. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see Emmanuel Charr make the return. Finally, been waiting so long. Ramirez-Taylor is this weekend. We're going to move on to the fights that are this weekend. Brilliant fight. Honestly, I think I've spoken about this in a couple of episodes as well. Is that I've been looking forward to this fight so much. I really think Taylor's going to be able to do it. And I've been saying this a lot this week or in the last week that I really think Taylor could stop him late on. I just think what is the word? The variety of skills that Taylor possesses in comparison to Jose Ramirez, but without disrespecting him, he's working with Robert Garcia, who I 100% believe is going to bring the best out of Jose Ramirez, will make small changes to his style, and, you know, work on the fundamentals to make him an all-round better fighter. But I just think Taylor is just... You just look at the resume of Josh Taylor, and it's just fantastic. You know, move so quickly, but move correctly at those proper, proper step ups at the right time. The thing that Buatsi is missing out on. You know, he's 14 or so fights in. Taylor's, what is it? Is he 17-0? 17-0, 13 knockouts. He's a unified world champion, for Christ's sakes. Just the perfect sort of progression that he's had as a professional, and I can see him stopping Ramirez late this weekend, but I think it's probably more likely that it will be on points. But yeah, I would love the spectacle if he knocked out Jose Carlos Ramirez. It would just be fantastic, and it would probably just, you know, boost this bullshit that I was kind of going on about last week, the fact that it hasn't got a UK broadcast. We're going to have to use Fight TV. You know, if he knocks out Jose Carlos Ramirez, there's no way that any other UK broadcaster would be not wanting to show Josh Taylor fight, because it's an incredible fighter. Can't remember the last time that he was in a bad fight. Just brilliant to watch. Really cannot wait. So yeah, looking forward to it. And now the fight that everyone has been waiting for is Sam Egerton versus Carlos Ramirez. I feel like I do that every week, or just every week now. Yeah, I suppose it's an alright fight. I don't really know what Sam Egerton's doing. I always forget that Sam Egerton is quite young, isn't he? He's like 27 years old, but I feel like he's been around forever. Those fights with like Mohamed Mamoun and whoever was before that, he fought like Paul Malignaggi, right? You know, they were years and years ago. So, yeah, I think it would be good to see him back. Looked good against Fear Pain last time out, but to be fair, Fear Pain was, you know, past his best. You know, it's the reason it was his last fight, sort of thing. So yeah, I just kind of expect, you know, Sam Egerton to obviously bring war to Carlos Molina, and it will be interesting if he can get him stopped, and especially if he can get him stopped quickly. I personally don't know. Carlos Molina has had a few of these what's it called? Being used as kind of this step-up opponent, like was used with Josh Kelly. I think he was used with Custio Clayton, or no, it was Soko. Abbas Barral, and then he's just gone on a bit of a winning streak, so maybe he's got the kind of fire in his belly. Maybe he'll give Egerton a tougher fight, you know, potentially. Can't really remember too much of Molina. I mean, he didn't look great against Josh Kelly when I saw that live, but you know, if he kind of puts his skills together, obviously former world champion, could be an upset on the cards, to be honest. But I just I don't know. Never been stopped before. If Egerton can do it, That'd be fantastic, and that kind of puts him back in the mix with Fowler, Cheeseman. Obviously, Metcalf I still want to say is in that mix, but Troy Williamson as well. Yeah, I think that's the case. I think Egerton could potentially stop him, and that'll be a huge, huge statement if he does. Okay, so just quickly, these episodes do feel like they're getting shorter and shorter, but I'm just going to run through a couple of bits of news. Obviously, I think everybody would have heard of this by now, but obviously AJ Fury, earlier in the week or last week, a few days ago even, AJ Fury was announced. I mean, it was announced by Tyson Fury. There was a couple of people saying that the money was there and everything. But I still didn't buy it. I mean, I refuse to believe that the fight is going ahead until I get the press release in my email account. That's basically the way that I see it. Until I get actual confirmation where tickets are on sale, or when their tickets are on sale, where the event is, date, broadcaster, everything. The fight poster. Give me the fight poster and I'll believe it. And not one of these, speaking to a couple of people at work, not the sort of like fan-made posters, you know? Tyson Fury announcing it, you know, of course he's going to bang the drum for this fight. He's making 50 million or whatever ludicrous amount it is. I think it's more as well. They're only giving like 5 million for the undercard. I think that was right. That's the figure that I remember, but I know they're walking away with a hell of a lot of money. But yeah, I would be banging the drum for that fight because he's making a lot of money from it. So yeah, I didn't believe that for a second that it was happening. But what made it interesting was obviously the Deontay Wilder spanner. Deontay Wilder sort of launched I forget the actual name, like an arbitration case or judgment against Tyson Fury because they were meant to have a fair fight. Obviously it didn't happen because there was a thing in the contract where if it passed in a certain date then they can go on. Wilder, obviously with coronavirus, wanted to argue it because it's kind of hard to make a fight of that size. With all honesty, probably a fight that not many people want to see, considering how conclusive the second fight was. And he won it! I really don't know how Wilder won that case. I mean, I guess I kind of get it because that's, you know, what was meant to happen. You know, Wilder and Fury were meant to face each other for a third time, but I don't know. I don't know why Wilder wants this fight. I mean, either he's a very proud man or he just wants to get one last payday. And, you know, if it's either, like, fair play to him, I would probably do the same if I was in that position. Not that I ever will be. Yeah, it's just a shame, you know. Eddie Hearn as well is obviously... It annoyed me because it kind of seems like Eddie is almost glad that this fight didn't happen. And that's not me just being like a dick. I just think, you know, it didn't seem like it was going to get announced. We heard the date and everything and what was going on and, oh, it's going to be monumental and things like that. And then, you know, obviously this comes along and it was kind of like, oh, like it's nothing to do with us. Like, you know, we're going to let Tyson Fury's team take care of this. But I'm sure in the past that, you know, Hearn has dealt in some sort of other promoter's backyard, or I don't know how to word it, but he's definitely definitely kind of, you know, worked his way around things, let's say. And that's not necessarily meant to mean that it's like anything bad or anything. You know, it's just what happens, you know, it's business at the end of the day. Lovejoy, we're meant to fight Dave Allen. I think that was a good example, you know, taking him from under Don King's promotional banner until he got an actual contract from, or what was it, from Don King saying that the fight couldn't happen. You know, went behind his back, maybe. Maybe he didn't know, maybe he did. I don't know. That's just one very small example that could be completely false. But yeah, I just from judging his reaction, his expressions, just kind of looked like he was happy to hear the news almost in a way, because it wasn't all on him anymore. He could blame somebody else. And I feel like he should be helping Bob Arum to try and solve this and get that fight over the line. Finally, please. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Pretty much said anything. Probably said a little bit too much. There is one last thing that I did want to mention. Good friend of mine, professional boxer, middleweight, fought in the Ultimate Boxer, probably coming up for 2 years now. Lewis Sirrett having some beef with John Harding. Absolutely love it. He came by in the pub that I work at the other day. So it was great to speak to him and speak to him about this potential fight. He really wants it. I'm hoping that Steve can get that sorted for him. I understand that Steve is away from business at the moment. Obviously, small hall show's not quite there, but you know, it's like I said at the start, like Lewis Sirrett is a good friend of mine. I consider him a good friend. You know, we keep in touch, and I want to see him get that opportunity. And I think, you know, it could potentially go on Fight Camp. You know, potentially if Dillian Whyte takes an interim fight, Lewis Sirrett and John Harding, you know, somewhere on the undercard, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense for both guys. John Harding isn't winning at English level. Lewis Sirrett was going to fight for the Southern area as soon as everything comes back. So, you know, if we can get the title on the line for the Southern area for that fight, I think that'd be fantastic. It makes so much sense when you think of it like that. So, really hope that comes off. Would love to see it at a Fight Camp because there's going to be crowds there. So, yeah, here's to hoping that fight happens. Cannot wait to see what's next for Lewis Sirrett. Love that guy. Really, really love that guy. One of the nicest guys in the sport that you'll ever meet, honestly. But yeah, so I hope that happens. I think that's it. This has kind of been a little bit rushed, and I don't know, it is probably going to be late. It's probably going out on a Wednesday just because of just scheduling and things like that and getting everything out in time. Just a busy bee, really. Back to work. Oh, where am I tomorrow? Yeah, back to work at the pub tomorrow, working for the wine merchant or wine retailer, I think. I keep calling them a wine merchant when I don't think that's actually the correct name. Yeah, just vibing really, but you know, Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez taking place in Vegas is actually quite good for me, just for the fact that I'll probably be working until 1 or 2 a.m. So looking forward to it, very, very much looking forward to it. I'll have to watch Eggington Molina the next day on the Sunday, but yeah, very much looking forward to the boxing this weekend. I'm going to stop talking now because otherwise I'll go on forever. Thank you very much for watching or listening on Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to leave a like, comment something down below. I like reading things, and subscribe if you're new. So yeah, thank you very much, and I will see you all next week.